Welcome everybody to Wisdom Wednesday. Hopefully everybody is having a good day. Having some little bit of tech difficulties here, kind of playing with logistics. And I was just telling Ashley that the Jupiter Uranus conjunction from, I think it was like a month ago. I don't remember even anymore, but it's been a little while, has been really forcing me to get into tech and playing around with different things. So I have a virtual background. Not that I don't love my usual background, I do, but I thought, you know what, let's play around and see if I could figure it out. And I did. So I was proud of myself for that. And we were also just kind of playing around with how to look at Ashley's chart. So we got both things figured out. So any case, we want to welcome everybody to Wisdom Wednesday. Ashley, thank you for joining me. For those of you who don't know Ashley, Ashley and I met from an astrology group, I think sometime this winter. We started talking. We started doing some coaching, mentoring together. We have a lot of similarities in our astrology charts and also in our gene keys charts, and also very similar kind of realities that we're living. And I'm a teensy bit older, but we've exhibited some things. So like when I talk to Ashley, I just wish like I would have had somebody in my life at that age. She's going through Saturn return now. And I wish I would have known astrology back then. So I feel like me guiding Ashley has been like a way I would have liked to have been, guided myself. So it's been a pleasure getting to know you, Ashley. And I told you when we met that I was going to encourage your uncomfortable action, and here we are today. So I finally have you on screen chatting with me, so I'm excited for this. But before we talk about your chart, I just wanted to let you introduce yourself and just share a little bit about your background and how you got interested in astrology and like things that you do, and then we'll use you as a guinea pig and analyze you a little bit today.
Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Ashley. As she said, I'm in my Saturn return, so I am 30. I will be 31 next month. So getting to the end of it, it's been a rough journey. And as far as getting into astrology, so it started out like 10 or so years ago, like coming into like horoscopes, and I used to absolutely love reading my horoscope every day and like checking other people's horoscopes and like hearing how their day went and whatnot. And I would give people like, hey, it says you might have a rough day today, like just watch out, but stuff like that. And it was not very well received by the community and like the people that were in my life. And I always just kind of like kept into that. But it wasn't until like my awakening like really, really began that I actually started to dive in. And it kind of got changed. And because my mom gave me the wrong birth time. So originally I thought I was a Libra rising for a long time.
Okay.
And then when the time got changed, it changed to a Scorpio rising. And then once I had that little piece of the puzzle, that was where like everything made sense. And that's where like diving in like really allowed me to start understanding and healing like parts of myself that I've not been okay with, things that I've gone through, all of that. So really having that piece of the puzzle like changed the trajectory of my life, honestly.
I think you're very much a Scorpio rising. Like as I've gotten to know you, I mean, I could see Libra maybe also, so it doesn't seem like a stretch, but I think you're very intuitive, and I think like that's the Cancer sun. I know our birthdays are like a couple days apart, but like also you have gone through so much transformation. That's such a big part of you, and I think you also have Pluto first house, like I do, right? We'll have to take a look back at your charts, and we're going to focus on some different things today. But yeah, I think it makes sense. I mean, for a big part of my life, my mother told me I was a Leo. She like had it wrong, and I didn't know astrology back then. And I used to wear like a little necklace with a lion. Like we thought literally I was Leo. And I'm on the cusp. So literally I am on the cusp, and I do have some Leo energy. But it's kind of funny because like one day I was at school, we were talking about all that stuff, and I realized, wait a minute, I'm not a Leo, I'm a Cancer. And I do have the like it's, I don't know that I like show up in the world exactly as a Cancer. Yes, I'm emotional. Yes, I'm intuitive and family. Like those things are a part of me, but also like I see other aspects of my chart as a part of me too. So yeah, like for a big part of my mother is Leo too. So it's like, and I'm not quite like her, but I do have some of those characteristics. So like, yes, I could see it, but I also have a couple things of Leo placement in my chart. And so maybe, that's what it was. But it's just kind of funny because I'm like, yeah, I'm like, for a big chunk of my life, I'm like, I thought I was one zodiac. And that's before I even knew any of this stuff about the moon and the rising and the planets and, like all of that with the houses. Like, I feel like my life opened up, a couple years ago when I started getting into this. So yeah, it's definitely important to know your birth time. And that's actually a good thing to point out too, because not everybody knows their birth time. And then it's like you don't have all the information on your chart. So it doesn't mean like you can't find things out. Like you can, like you'll still know all the placements for the planets and their zodiacs. You just won't know the houses. And then I feel like you're missing, I don't want to say a big part of the equation, but I feel like you're missing at least half the equation. But you can still find out things. So like I've analyzed people based on just knowing the zodiac. Like there's still a lot of content you can know, but I feel like the houses like give you like such a big flavor and you know where they present. So I'm glad you know that for you too.
I think something that really like for people that don't have their time, I think it just forces them to I think it forces them to really just dive into like their intuition and what actually resonates with them and really seeing themselves. So, taking the time to kind of change it a little bit and see what that chart like shows you about yourself and see if that resonates as far as like the rising sign, or even like reading about all of them, like in more in depth and coming into understanding like what kind of fits with my life. Because if you feel it fits, even if it may not be 100% accurate, that's the energy that you feel you are experiencing and embodying. So it may be helpful to learn more about that energy so you can work with it.
I agree. And what, there's different things that it's not something I know how to do myself, but I know I have heard that like, astrologers have been doing this for a while, can like deconstruct that time and can help you. But it does make a difference because like some people have told me, well, I think I'm born between 10 and 11 o'clock. So I'll run their chart at like 10, 10:30, 11, and you could get different results and it messes everything up. So I'm like, I'd rather not like even do that because, it changes your rising in some cases. And then it changes all the houses. And I'm like, I'd rather not have something inaccurate. But I know Annie, who's my friend and astrologer admin on the group, she posted something the other day about like a different way you can figure it out. I haven't done it yet, but I do have somebody I know who doesn't know his birth time, and I was going to experiment and use him as my guinea pig. So I haven't done it yet, but I'm like, okay, that's cool. That's like a different way to go about it. So it's like, it's not all, hope is not all lost, it is what it is. And sometimes, like even on like today's birth records, they don't put that time. Like my kids don't have their birth times on their birth certificate. I know it approximately, like I might be off by a couple minutes. It shouldn't make that much of a difference. But like some people like don't know it at all, whatever. It's like, it's another thing. So I wanted to mention that because we're talking about, okay, what happens like when you get a chart evaluation. And I feel like I've been wanting to do this conversation for a while because people ask me this all the time. And I used to think when I was first starting that, okay, if I got a reading from somebody or somebody got a reading from me, why would I want to get like a second opinion or another opinion? And then as I got into astrology more, talked about different like house systems and different perspectives, I'm like, there's so much depth to astrology. Right? Like you and I could do a session and we could just be looking at your transits, or we could be looking at what's your fourth house all about, or let's talk about some of your aspects. Do you have certain oppositions? Like I might, focus on like your Saturn or Pluto, whatever like I feel is prominent, or maybe my particular area of interest or expertise. Whereas you might go to somebody like Mel, who's been doing astrology for 18 years, and like she might use like the whole sign system. I think she's more into that. And I use Placidus, and she's going to give you a different perspective, and she might talk about degree theory, whatever. And nobody's necessary. It's not like right or wrong. It's just like a different lens. And so I learned that like talk to different people, get different perspectives. One astrologer tells you one thing, let's see what another person tells you. It's like you get different tarot readings, different interpretations, go to different people for Reiki. You'll still get a good experience. It's just gonna be a little bit different, so I think there's validity to all of it. So yeah, I wanted to mention that. And I think you looked at both systems, right? Like Placidus and whole signs for yourself.
Yes, but I normally just leave it on Placidus because that's what pops up. And I'm always like, when I'm pulling up my chart, it's like something quick. I'm trying to like hurry up and like look for, because I'm like, maybe I'm getting some confirmation somewhere else, and it's like, wait, is that true? And then I got to look real quick. So normally I just use that because that's what pops up.
Gotcha. I have used Placidus. I think it all depends on like what you're looking for too. I've used it. The astrology teachers I've learned from, they also use it. Some people think like there's different reasons for each one, and I feel like that could become its own conversation. For the intents and purposes, like that's what I tend to use for my clients. That's what I've had used for me. It makes sense. I like it because there's multiple layers, and you could have intercepted houses. Because I kind of feel like life isn't all simple, and it's not like your fourth house is always going to just be Aries, your fifth house is going to be whatever. And like I know even on my chart, I could have a house and I can have two different zodiacs there. So I have the flavor of two different signs. And I feel like just like, and I know you're very similar to me. Like we're not just all one thing. Like we have all different kinds of energy. So I mean I like Placidus for that reason. And I think sometimes people use the whole signs more in a predictive nature, you know, like predicting something that might happen. So I've looked at whole signs for me. I think there's some interesting things there, but to like learn a whole new system when I'm still like wrapping my head around all the parts of this one, like it doesn't make sense. So I feel like, you know, my Gemini energy could kind of go everywhere. And I'm like, okay, Nelly, stay in this rabbit hole, learn this thing, and then, you know, later expand and do that. But I mean, I've looked at whole signs and I could see, okay, yes, my son is now in the 11th house versus the 10th house. I could see that too, but I have learned and gotten accustomed to everything I already know. I feel like it would just blow my whole world if I had to like shift it. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I'm not ready. I'm not ready for that.
Yeah, when you're ready for a deeper dive, go in a different.
You know. Like you could stay with Placidus and do a whole deep dive on yourself for like the next 40 years. Like I learned from Deborah Silverman. She's been analyzing herself forever. She uses, you know, Placidus and talks about all the different things and all the multiple layers. So I could be content with that and, you know, learn enough information. So yeah, we're going to actually get into your chart. And like I said, there's different things you can analyze. And when somebody comes to me, usually like I have a conversation with them and I want to know like what do you want to know? Like, have you ever had your chart read? It's usually one of the first things I ask, because if a person, and I'm a teacher in my background, so like I want to know like what somebody's base level is. So if somebody like has no idea about astrology at all, I'm not going to overwhelm them and start talking about like higher level things that like it's not even going to make sense. They won't relate. It'll end up frustrating them, and then that's not going to be helpful to them. So usually we start off with a conversation and say, like, okay, like what do you want to know? You know, and what's your background in it? And then once I know that, it gears me. So I typically don't on the fly do a reading. I have done it though. Like I'll be somewhere and somebody wants to know something. I'll pull out my phone, pull out astro.com, and I'll do like a quick interpretation. But like if somebody like actually wants to come as a client, they want like a report, they want the information, then like we'll sit down, you know, we'll take a look at some different things. And I just realized I'm like, I haven't looked at the chat. So I'm like, let's pause for a second. I just want to say hi to everybody. Thank you guys for joining. So I see Tracy is with us. She also uses Placidus. Awesome. And Andrew's like be on for a little bit. Andrew, thank you for joining. I saw there's, you know, different people on and off, and, you know, feel free to leave comments if you're watching later on replay. Feel free to share. But in any case, all right, so we'll get back to this. So it's Wisdom Wednesday. So Ashley and I are going to kind of share wisdom back and forth. We're also going to talk about love a little bit, because love and relationships, I think not the easiest topic for both of us to be dealing with right now. However, we're in the Venus Cazimi energy, and it didn't just disappear. You know, yes, you know, when you have a Cazimi, it overtakes the sun for a day. That was yesterday. Today is a new day. However, anybody who knows astrology knows, like, it doesn't go away. Like it's still there. And I don't know, Ashley, how are you feeling it for you? Like with all of the love energies and like all the Gemini, because we have a lot of Gemini. There's like 5 planets in Gemini right now. It's like intensive. How are you feeling it for you?
Well, my Venus is in Gemini as well. Like they're like right on top of each other. So for me, since I'm kind of like rebuilding myself and like out of a relationship, I'm not really like focused on like that love aspect, like in an actual like partnership with someone. Right. For me, it's all been about like really putting pen to paper. What do I love? Like, what do I want to like progress with in my life, because right now I've got probably like 10 different things that I'm like, yes, I want to do this. And then I'm like trying to fill out my time blocking. I'm like, I don't have time to do all of this. Even if I like, even if I were to not work, like I don't have time to do all of this. And then it's like really coming to the understanding, like you really need to sit down with yourself and really understand, like, where do you want to focus your energy? Because like with the like with all this Gemini energy, there was something I read that was saying even with people who are like not neurodivergent, like this Gemini energy is going to make them feel like ADHD. And me just literally last week getting my ADHD diagnosis and finally getting on medicine actually helped to handle this energy right now, to be able to calm down and like get to a place of really having that focus on what I want to do and what I want to pursue. Because for me, my whole life has been kind of like being a chameleon and helping everyone else with like their loves, their passion, their dreams, and making temporarily that my focus and my dream at the time. So now it's like really like, okay, you need to sit down and figure out what you want to do. And I got kind of overwhelmed with all the different options. There's like literally opportunities just keep coming and coming and all different things. And it's like overwhelming. And I'm like, okay, I got to sit down. I got to write down. I got to take the time to really
That's
like.
good. That's good. So like that's helping you, and you're Scorpio rising, so you are going to keep transforming. Like that's the nature of you, right? And yeah, I mean, I also have Gemini Venus. I have Gemini Stellium, so I live in that reality. What everybody is feeling now is what I feel all the time.
Yep.
And then it's also amped up, because I also have Jupiter in Gemini, which everybody's feeling now. And it's like I always have that. And so it's always like everything all over the place and all that. So like I feel that I could get into like 10 different projects, but then not finish the project. So it's like I kind of have to use my Virgo rising to just get it done. Get the task done before you get on to the next thing and get excited and then just, leave it be. So yeah, I feel like collectively there's like so much conversation now, so much curiosity, so much chatter, and also so much flirtation because Venus is there too. Like I'm definitely feeling all of that. Like, but we don't have to focus on the love stuff right now, right? We're not doing that, but we're focusing on our own self-love. I think that's important, and like friendship love and family love, because there's all different kinds of love. Like it doesn't have to be that romantic partner. Like it can be, but I had an event last night for my women's group, and we talked. I gave them a little snippet of the Venus Kazemi, and I felt like we had like I don't know 18, 20 women. We had a good number, and I don't know how many people are married or in relationships there. I felt like that was less of the group than that, and I'm like, you know what? I'm like, we just need to focus on our own self-love. We're in the Venus Kazemi. Let's focus on love. Like love doesn't have to be, that you're married or that you have a partner. It can be, but also I think like we need to like love ourselves first, whether we're in that relationship or not. And then also like I'm like here we're all women supporting each other. We're empowering each other. We're sharing stories. Like it was so powerful. Like we were just there to eat dinner and hang out, but it was just like everybody's like listening to each other and like their experiences. People are talking about their marriages that didn't work. People are talking about their friendships that didn't work, family stuff. And I was like, this is awesome. Like, this is like the connection we need. We're like having women come together instead of like women combating each other and being competitive, which happens. Female relationships are not always easy. Right? That. Like for me, friendships have definitely not always been easy. And so like that was why I created that group, to like find like a local soul tribe. I had friends all over the place virtually, but I'm like, okay, if I want to get together and go to a movie, go to dinner, like I need people. So it was just interesting looking at that. And I'm like, you know what? It's okay. Like if I, don't have that significant other right now, but like I, feeling better about myself in terms of like my own self-worth and how I feel about myself. And also like, these ladies in my life, I have all these great friendships. And like 2 years ago, like I didn't know any of them, and it's like, it's such a nice thing. And I think like, us talking about it too, it's like, yes, like, we live in a society, we have Bridgerton, right? We have these like romance novels and all these things and like all these idealized views of love. And like, what if that's changing? The concept of relationships, like is marriage that's a whole, I feel, other topic, but like is marriage the ideal anymore? What does a relationship look like? Is it a committed relationship for the rest of your life? Or are you in a series of relationships? Or are you in multiple relationships? I don't know the answer. We don't have to talk about it. But I'm just saying, I think like this time has us think about these different things, because what used to be, I think, is no longer the norm, and I don't know, like I said last night, I know maybe this is maybe not the most idealistic thing. I'm like, in the past, I didn't feel like I believed in divorce. And now I don't know if I believe in marriage, and maybe my view will change, and I think it's like just kind of in the perspective that I am. But I'm like, you know what, who knows anymore. And like, the marriages that were lasting 40, 50 years, is that going to still be a thing or not? Are we going to see marriages lasting chunks of time, and then, people move on? Because I feel like we've been seeing that. And like, are people still going to be getting married, and what's involved? So I don't know. I think like that's interesting, and also looking at it on the chart. So I know you have your 2 cents on that too, because we've talked.
Yeah, no, it's kind of cool that you mentioned that, because I also was a person that said, I'm getting married once in my life. I don't care if they want to get divorced. They're just going to have to deal with me, blah, 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 blah. But then coming into like the situation I was in, I was like, well, crap, I don't want to be in this marriage. I didn't even want to get married in the first place. So like, I'm going to have, like, that was like my own personal like programming and like limiting belief that I'm still in the process of like overcoming, and like telling myself like it's okay to change your mind, like it's okay to have that shift. And I think the other part of it too is like, in the past it was like, okay, people, got out of high school and they wanted their partner and then went on with their lives, where now we're seeing, people are waiting because people are actually taking the time to discover who they are and what they actually want, because we grow up and we have all this outside influence when we are children, and we're so malleable that we take on there's stuff that's even just generational, that's just in our DNA, that has us think and view life and relationships and people a certain way. But when you really like dive into it, like that whole aspect and the people around us, like we're starting to learn that like just because our parents were our parents doesn't mean that they were wiser, or that they knew. They just knew what they knew at the time.
They were conditioned to know what they know. And we have this conditioning too, whether it's religious conditioning or societal, cultural, like we have these like beliefs. They're not all right, and now is like the time to, reevaluate. I'm like I have a lot of transits right now in my 9th house. I have like 5 planets there. So I'm like really thinking hard about like belief systems and all of that. And like that's coming up. And actually, speaking of that, we should take a look at your chart. We're going to throw it up on the screen. We don't have a ton of time to look. I think we'll like maybe 4 or 5 minutes. We'll kind of talk. I wanted to look at your transits, which people focus on the natal chart. And then like, I feel like you definitely need to start with somebody's natal chart so they understand like, okay, what are your big 3? What are your sun, moon, rising? Where are all the planets in terms of zodiacs and the houses? That in and of itself is like multiple sessions. Like there's no way like in 5 minutes to do all that. But like there's a lot of different pieces you could look at. I think once you have a kind of a handle on that, I think it's interesting to know like, okay, what's going on in the sky right now in general? Like we talked about the Venus Cazimi. We know that there's a new moon tomorrow, the 6/6 portal's coming up. Like, I think it's good to know that, but then also like personalize it for yourself and say, hey, once you understand all of this stuff or have somebody who can help you, it's like looking at your chart and saying, hey, I wonder what's going on for me personally, because we want to know about ourselves, right? Like, okay, great, there's Venus Cazimi's in the sky. What the hell does that mean for me, right? We want to know how that's going to relate to our lives. So I don't think we looked at your chart with the transits the last time we talked. So we talked about other stuff. So I feel like let's do that now. So we're going to look at it. It's going to come up kind of small. So like I took notes, my vision's not good, so I can't even see it on the screen, but I'm hoping people at home can kind of see it. We're going to pull up, I have Ashley's information in Placidus. So I'm going to share the screen. So we're going to get kind of small in here and you'll be able to see what it looks like with the astro wheel. And I'm just going to, and then on the side, and I know Ashley, you know this, the little glyphs are going to be green. And that's the stuff that's in the transit. So Ashley's got like 3 big houses where it's hitting. So we're going to we're going to do this. So I haven't shared a screen before on this, but I think I know what to do. So I'm going to try, and if I mess up, I'll make sure I'm looking at the right thing. It might be this one. Okay, I think it's this
That's
one.
the other thing too. I think you know, a lot of times we talk about like natal charts and whatnot, and like even in the group we share about all these awesome transits that are happening. But I know I find for myself, like sometimes I struggle to like actually look at the transit chart for myself and figure out exactly how that's working for me. And I feel like since that's not such a like common, like that's not like everybody wants to know about their natal chart, but the thing is, like, this is the year of important transits. Like, it's been insane already, so I think it's important to kind of show, like, at least kind of to go through that process so that way people can kind of start trying to do it for themselves as well.
Right, but it involves learning, whether you're learning it on your own or learning it with somebody. Because I could say, "Oh, guess what, Ashley, you have North Node here and all this," and you're gonna be like, "What the hell's North Node?" You know what I mean? So I feel like that you have to have a certain base of knowledge. And yes, I could come in and tell somebody like the basics. Somebody who doesn't know much, I could tell them, "Okay, like Ashley, your sixth house, you have North Node, Chiron, and Mars there transiting." But I have to also explain what that means, you know. And then seventh house, you have like right now Uranus, Jupiter, the moon, and Mercury. Okay. And then eighth house, you have the sun and Venus. So you're having like transits in like those three houses. So right now, that's more prominent for you. Yes, your Pluto is off there, I think by third house somewhere. I didn't worry about the Pluto. Like Pluto's its own conversation. But I was just kind of looking at like, where do you have concentrated energy? Because that's really guiding you. And like you can look at your transits, like they do move, it changes. Like the sun and the moon, you know, change pretty quickly. So does Mercury. But like some of these other ones, like those, when those planets, like some of those transits are slow, they might be in your seventh house for a while, you know. And so it's like, okay, so Ashley, that's where you have like the most concentrated energy. So that means for you, and I have this too going on right now, but I don't think I have as many planets as you do. This is your time to like reevaluate like partnerships and marriage. Because you know how we're talking about love, and I thought that was so fitting for our conversation as I was looking at that for you. So this doesn't have to be, again, the romantic partner, like if you don't have this person in your life, but it could be like thinking about the concept of what does that look like for you. It's like understanding, okay, so maybe I had the last relationship isn't what I wanted, but now let me think about what do I want to have. So it's like kind of like manifesting it. You know, tomorrow's the new moon. Maybe you might want to manifest what you want in this person. You know, what are you looking for? Because just because you manifest doesn't mean poof, he's going to be there the next day. It's going to take a bit of time. You might have to manifest for 6 months. But I think it's like starting the process. So I think the universe right now is telling you, think about what you want in all of your close relationships. It could be in your business partnerships too. It doesn't just have to be love. It could be like in stuff dealing with your family. It could be stuff dealing with your mom too. You know, it's any close relationship dealing with that. So right now you have Uranus there. Uranus wants to like break the rules, do it its own way. It could be quirky, innovative. So you have Uranus there. Jupiter, which is larger than life, is expanding that whole area for you. It's also giving you a lot of optimistic energy. So who knows, maybe the right person's going to come along soon. You know, you got Jupiter in the seventh house. Like that's a good thing. You have the moon there. Okay. And it's not going to stay there that long because we know the moon, you know, cycles through every 2.5 days. It'll be moving. You know, and again, so through the zodiac, it'll move every 2.5 days. In the house, it'll be there a little bit longer. So you have the moon there, and then you also have Mercury there, which is your communication piece. And so that's a lot of powerful energy right now for you in the seventh house. So it's like having you like evaluate what do you want in this person, and like it's getting you to think about it. It doesn't necessarily mean he's going to just be knocking on your door tomorrow. You know what I mean? But he could be, you know, you never know. So I think it's just time to think about it. And then again, you have, like I said, you have the transits in the eighth house. That's some things to look at. Sixth house for you. I think yesterday we were talking about like schedule. And like, I think that was actually interesting because you have North Node, Chiron, and Mars. Some powerful energy there. So your sixth house is like your health, your wellness, your schedule, like getting things like set for you, healing, like that Virgo energy. So I'm going to stop talking for a little here. I want you to tell me what you think, like based on what I said, looking at like even just the sixth and seventh house transits. What do you feel like for you?
Okay, so for the seventh house, what you were talking about, like really like envisioning like what I actually want, that is 100% true. So my husband, ex, whatever, yesterday was like sending me long text after text after text, like wanting me to rethink my decision. And like literally, like it was wild because he was like saying everything that I used to want. And the thing is I'm realizing, like, so I used to want a partner. I used to want things to be 50-50. I used to want, you know, that type of relationship. But that's what I have ultimately tried with every relationship. And it's always ended up being like very unequal. And then it's like too much. And then it affects my life or affects me in different ways. But what I'm coming into is like, especially, you know, before me and you talked about like all of like my Leo placements and like what that signifies for me is like I am supposed to be a leader, and in order to be a leader, a male has to allow me to be a leader. Like they can't be like intimidated, you know what I mean? Like they can't be jealous, envious, intimidated. They have to allow me to be in that position. And that takes a very like someone who's very strong within themselves and like secure within themselves to allow that to happen. And so like I no longer want a partner. I want another leader or someone else who is fully like within themselves to do this with me. If not, I'm perfectly fine and capable. You know, I have got so much love to give. I give love to everybody. So like, and I know like now I'm starting to actually see, you know, the universe like reflect that back to me, and just random people, connections online, like meeting you, like all the cancers that have come into my life, like in the last like 6 months has been amazing because I'm getting back the love that I've always been searching for and was giving everyone else. So like I've been giving that Cancer love and now I'm getting it back, which is beautiful. But it really has changed like fully encompassing like what I actually want a relationship to look like, not this, you know, Disney story that has been in my head since I was a little girl. You know, I wouldn't mind Cinderella right now, but we'll just leave that for.
How about Bridgerton? I love the Bridgerton stories. Those are great too, or The Bachelor, right? I agree with you. And I also want to say, Ashley, you already are the leader. Okay, so you are the leader. Say what it is. You are the leader. And yes, you need a man who like will feel comfortable that you're not, you can share the stage, basically. That like, you know, and it's like, you just have to feel empowered in yourself. Like, this is the role that I'm going to take in the relationship. Throat chakras open, you say your piece. And I, you know, I think it takes time to like come to that, you know. Honestly, I think you're coming to it really early. I didn't come to that when I was your age. It took me a lot longer to make that realization. So you're already there, you're already doing it. And I think that's really good that you're like realizing now, like, this is who I want. And if this person doesn't fit the bill, then that's just not my person. And I'll just, you know, keep doing my thing and, you know, manifesting who I do need. And I think it's like really important to be clear. Like, you're clear, like, this is who I want, this is who I don't want. And I'm not going to allow the others into my energy, you know, and bring me down, you know, because like you kind of have to live almost the thing that you don't want to realize the thing that you do want, you know. Like, I feel like we need that comparison. And I feel like we've lived similar things and we didn't realize we were living some similar things, but like, people connect for a reason, you know. And I think that's powerful for you right now. Like, the universe really wants you to understand the stuff with the partnerships and the marriage and the commitment. And so that's why you have all those planets there. This is your time. This is part of your Saturn return period to figure that out, and you're figuring it out. And yeah, in the sixth house, things are important for you too, because you're trying to get yourself in structure. You know, you just got the diagnosis and you're making sense of that. And, you know, you show me all the time, like, how you're, you know, doing your little schedule and you're keeping yourself organized. That's like so key, like, to have systems in place, because when we don't have systems, everything is all over the place. We're disorganized, we're not grounded. And then, you know, you're a mother, you have children to take care of. Like, it's so important for you to have that figured out for yourself. So like, you have your time, you can work on your business, you can take care of them, and, you know, be that Cancer mom. And, you know, like, you want to do it right for everybody, but you also have to take care of yourself. So I think it's good. So yes, like, you're having an energy right now to focus on the sixth house and like your routines. And you just started a new job this week, right? So it's like, the job is also part of sixth house. That's like a new energy. So you have to integrate that into your life. with your other side hustle and with tarot and with, you know what I mean? And all the other social media, all this stuff. So yeah, I mean, since I've known you, it's been like 4 months, like you've already made so much growth, it's like you've had such a big transformation in just this short period of time. And so like, that's huge, so that's huge. So I'm really proud of you, and I'm excited that we got to do this talk today, and share about your chart a little bit, and just give people like a basis of like, what happens when you get a chart reading, and like a little bit about love, just because like we're in that time of this, right? And we're about to hit the new moon. So I'm going to wrap us up because I realized we went a little bit over. But tomorrow is exciting because it's the new moon. So don't share your manifestations with the universe, but just write them down. So like, I don't know, do you usually write 10? That's what I usually write. I don't know, how much do you usually write when you're doing your manifestations?
I try to focus on like a big 3, and then if I have like some more like minor ones that are capable of like happening within a month, then I'll add them in. But there's just so much that's like trying to be manifested into my life. Like I keep just trying to put that same energy into those same ones, because it's like they're big things. They're not just like little ones. So it's going to take time, and it's, going to take a lot of like effort and energy and like focusing in on that for this to come in.
All right. Well, I mean, you can have like sub ones. You could have like 3 of them related to the same thing, and like that helps. Like having things that are connected, like in different steps. So awesome, Ashley. So thank you for chatting with me today. And if anybody wants to connect with you, because you now are doing like tarot readings for different people in the group, and you created your own Facebook group. So if you want to share that, and also you do Purium. So like, why don't you share like those things that you're doing? So if people want to connect with you on that and find out more about you, they can do that. And then, I mean, Ashley's on the group as well, so you guys can always reach out to her. But yeah, if you can share that background, because I don't remember the names of them.
Oh, it's 12 o'clock. Okay. So I am partnered with a superfoods company called Purium, and they create very, very well. They have regenerative farms that they actually get their produce from, and they create just like beautiful, loving, organic, live living foods for you to that's loud.
It's okay.
Hold on. Shut the window. Okay, that'll help. For you to consume, and like the basis of it was that they start with the gut health. There's a lot of not so good stuff in our food that the government allows to happen, and they actually have a product called Biomedic that is created to actually help heal your gut microbiome, and that's where everything in our life stems from. Like a lot of our issues actually is because our gut is not being taken care of. So really starting with that actually has allowed me to dive in deeper emotionally, because of the fact of getting rid of all just the little things here and there, and putting actual food that my body loud, putting actual food that my body needs, and that's actually helpful. And the one thing that I will say about this that is important, just in general, like for me, I used to drink like 5 to 10 espresso shots a day to make it through my life with 2 kids.
Oh my God.
And I started drinking my shakes 2 a day. That took out 2 meals I had to even think about. And I didn't even realize I wasn't drinking coffee or caffeine anymore. And even though I haven't been drinking my shakes like as of recent, I still haven't like gone for the caffeine. That it really like helped replenish that within my body. Because my body wasn't spending all this extra time to digest all this chemicals and crappy food, which takes your energy to do. And then, yes, I started the tarot group. It's called Oracle You Later, like see you later. So I haven't been as consistent as I would like to be, but that's kind of where that 6th house energy is, like really focusing in and figuring out like how to use my time more more efficiently to get what I actually want to get done. And I've been using time blocking and really like being intentional with my time and like, okay, this is what I'm doing this time. It's not just, okay, what do you feel like doing right now? Like really focusing in, that way I can get more done in the day and be more efficient. So I will be working on the consistency with that group there. But I also want that group to be open to where, like, if you have things you want to ask or share, or, you know, kind of like how you've created your group. That's what I love about your group. But for it to be open, to be, you know, a community where, you know, everybody can learn together. We don't have, there's nobody above anybody. Like, tarot is really fun. It can be very magical, but it can be very, very helpful. So having that as a tool to help along your journey is very beneficial. So I feel like it's great for everybody to get, you know, a little bit of learning that way. And not everybody, you know, not everybody has like the funds to go through and I mean, even myself, some of those courses out there that I found for like tarot are like insane. So I've kind of had to keep mine more intuitive, which I like.
Intuitive is good. Yeah.
Which I like. And I think many people just kind of need that validation, and that, you know, that what they feel with the, you know, with the card is right, even if it doesn't match what's in the book.
Right.
And that kind of gave me that confidence too.
It takes time. It's practice, just like anything, you know, like even if you become a psychic medium, and yes, you might have those gifts, but you still have to hone those gifts. You still have to work on those. And I think that's like an important lesson too. So awesome. I'm excited for you with everything that you're doing. So we'll put links so people can contact you with those groups. And yeah, thanks for being a part of Wisdom Wednesday and keeping active on the group. And it's been a pleasure getting to know you and watching you grow. And yeah, this was an awesome conversation. So thanks for last minute, your last couple of days being free to do this. I appreciate it. And yeah, everybody just, you know, keep coming, you know, keep learning. And if somebody wants to be a guest, I'm lining guests up for July. June is all done. I have everybody figured out. So I'll be having guests. And then tomorrow I'll be coming on with the other Ashley Hallman, and we're going to be doing Chanel with the Cosmic Retail. So we're going to be talking about the new moon. So I'm excited about that. So thanks again, Ashley. Have a good rest of the day, and everybody as well. Enjoy all the beautiful Gemini energy. It's my favorite time because I love Gemini.